Okay, so we're gonna do a quick analysis of the Beethoven Sonatina in G major, this little excerpt here, and then the other Beethoven below from Symphony number 7. We're looking for 6/4 chords. This excerpt's really great because, well, easy, because you can see the chord shapes, every 4/8 notes usually. And so they're going to be relatively easy to find. Remember that each one of the first notes of these is the note that we consider the lowest one in the group. And that's the purposes of like inversion symbols. So it looks like I'm in the key of G. How do I know this? Key signature. This is a D7 chord, which, remember we're in the middle of the piece. It measures 25, right? So it's the 5 chord. And we end the section on a G chord right here. So first thing we do is we mark that it's a G. And then, like I said, this is a D chord with a 7th right there. So that's a 5. Figured basis 7. It's the same. Now this is different right here. Okay. This is a GBD, right? Right? G chord. However, notice that the D stays the same there. So I suspect this is a pedal chord. But we'll put a 1 and a 6/4. Whenever we find a second inversion triad, we have to bracket it and say, what is it? Unless it's a cadential one, and then we put the bracket underneath. This goes all the way through, and then we're back to a D chord right here. So it's 5, right? D, F sharp, A. So this is a classic pedal chord. The bass note that starts the section holds out, the chord goes into inversion, and then comes back. It's nice and stable. We put P, E, D down there for pedal. Okay? And it looks like we have another one coming along right here. Same pattern there. Then it's going to go back to the same pattern here. So we have another one, 6/4. And I can see ahead that it's the same thing where it's holding through. So this is also a pedal chord, right? And then here's my 5/7. Okay. And what else? See, you can see that my camera is getting in the way. See if I can maybe go like this to get it out of there. Sure. Okay, why not? And then back to a 1/6/4. This whole thing is chock full of them. And again, it looks like a pedal chord. And then 5. There's no 7 until we get to there, so I can throw a 7 on there if I like. If you write 5/7, that's okay. And then 1. And then 1, 1 is 1, it's all 1. Now, this technically, you could say is a arpeggiating bass. So if you really wanted to, you could go 6/4, 6, and 5/3 right there to acknowledge that it does invert. And if you did that, you could go like ARP. Oops, ARP, sorry. I tend to not worry about that. It's just a thing that happens. All right, so there we go. Next one. So Beethoven again. This is a piano version, sort of a condensation of what's going on in the orchestra. Looks like we're in the key of A or F sharp minor. And when I look at it, I see like an A chord at the end here of the phrase. And I see another A chord, and I see another A chord, and I see another A chord. And, I play this through. It kind of feels like it's in the key of A. These are on so. This is like maybe my 5 chord. We're not going to worry about that. If you want to, you could say, well, it's scale degree 5 in the key of A, right? Okay. And then I have E's, 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 and finally we get a chord, and it's a C sharp and an E and an E and a C sharp and an E. We don't know what that is, but then it fills out and gives us the A here. So it's kind of funny, like we can definitely say that's a 1 chord right there. And this is honestly the beginning of the 1 chord, and then it fills in here. So I'm not going to call this a 3 chord, but it's a 1/6, even though we kind of don't know that until we get to there, right? And then 1 all the way through there. All right, cool. Let's check out this next part right here. Well, we've got 2 seconds, which is kind of weird. I mean, it's hard to think of 2 chords with like a chord with 2 seconds in it, unless it's got a suspension or something in there. Let's just check out what our notes are. We have an A and a B, and then we have looks like a D and an E. We have the D and the E, and then we also have, read up here with me, it's a D right there. and then F sharp. Well, figure that out for a minute. First off, let's just go back to, we're here going back to a 1 chord. So what could this be, right? What if we take out the A right there? It's a good place to start. We're going to puzzle this through. I'm not just going to give you the answers, right? Like, we could publish an answer key, but then you don't get to think about that. If this is kind of pedal tone, then this would be what? Like a E and a D and a B, right? That's starting to become something like an E, G sharp, B chord, maybe, and that would be my 5 chord, and the A is a pedal note, right? So non-chord tone. So I'm going to do this. We're going to put a question mark here. I think this could be an E7 chord, right? But then it's got like this pedal note holding out through it. If that's the case, then, we can ignore the pedal and not put anything in here. We just go 5-7 like that, right? It seems funny that it leaves down to the F sharp and then it comes back up to the G. So maybe this is just a non-chord tone, right? An appoggiatura of sorts. I think that's a pretty good bet, 1 and 5s, seems to be more 1 chord, and then here, well, you know what I do when I find difficult things? I like to go around them first and circle them in. There's my 1 chord again. This looks like my 5-7 chord again with that thing right there, right? And here's my 1 chord down here, and then this looks like that. Remember we talked about if there's a 4th between the bass note and the next one, it's often the 5th and the root. Not 100% of the time, but it could be. It does look like a D chord, which would be my 4 chord right there, 6-4, and then my A chord again right there. And you see how the note in the bass is holding out, and this goes up. Some books call it a neighbor chord. Koska calls it a pedal chord. Either way, we find a 6-4, and we have to put P-E-D right there, right? And this looks, well, kind of looks, oh, this is definitely a 1 chord right there, right? This feels like it could be like a 5 thing, but it just, it doesn't have to be. It could just be part of this. Okay, so what do we do with this chord right here? Well, I think we just figure it out, right? Same thing here. So let's go back. Looks like an A chord right there, right? So it's still a 1. This looks like an inversion of the A chord right there, right? Still got an A, C sharp, A and C sharp. Just have the complete A chord. So that looks like a 1-6. You'll notice they don't rewrite the 1. You can if you want, but it's not necessary. We know this is the same chord. And then here we have the A chord, and this is, well, is it an A chord? Looks like it is right here, right? A, C sharp, A, E. That's a 1-6-4, and then it collapses into an E, G sharp, D, and a B. That's my 5-7 right there. And I know this isn't the end of the excerpt, but this is the end of the phrase, which takes us to this sort of ending section right here. This looks like whenever we find it, we have to explain it. So I think that's a tonic 6-4, and the way we do that is we bracket underneath it, cadential tonic 6-4, right? Bracket underneath it, put a 5, saying this all represents a 5 chord right there. So that's good, right? Now let's go back to here for a second and see what's going on. This garbage, funny, I'm calling Beethoven garbage like I have the right to say that, but it's notes from the previous chord that are held over and then they're resolved down. Do you see that, right? So what do we have here? We have an A, C sharp, E, we have an E, and then we have a C sharp. These ones collapse in and the E's hold over, and now we have E, G sharp, B, B, right? That looks like a 5 chord to me, E, G sharp, B. It's just an inversion right there. Now, if we're doing next term, we have to account for all these non-chord tones. We have to label the suspensions and things like that, but we don't have to do that right now. Okay, and then it looks like this is sort of a passing chord 1 again. We could maybe ignore this and just say it's all, like not part of the chord for the measure, right? And then it goes up to, it looks still like an E, B, D, right? There's a D right there. looks like it's still part of the 5 chord. I don't think that we need to put a new inversion there. You can if you want, call it a 6/4, but feels kind of melodic to me, right? And in this case, it doesn't fit pedal chord or passing chord, so that's interesting. Okay, and there we go, like that. Okay, but I think the clear winner here is that we have a tonic 6/4 cadence, cadential tonic 6/4 right there, going to the 5 with bracket underneath it, and afterwards we have this pedal tone. And by the way, this is really common after a cadence. This is like a plagal cadence extension. So you know, if we say where do we find plagal cadences, they often happen after authentic cadences. So we end our section here and we go 1 6 4 5 1, and we have a PAC right there. And then as an extension here, so that we're not done, I'll just get rid of that. Then you go 1 and then go to your 4 chord and 1. This is sort of like a post cadence, that one, like the big cadence, plagal cadence. We see this a lot, right? All right, there you go.